Good morning and welcome to day 2 of Ministravaganza. Hopefully you just tuned into a very awesome. Good morning and welcome to day 2 of Ministravaganza. I just heard my voice. That's annoying. All right. Hopefully you've been joining in this morning. We've had some really fun streams so far, and this is the second stream, and we're painting up some Dark Troopers. Just revealed yesterday on the dev chat for Star Wars Legion. I went ahead and got a preliminary airbrush on these. I did a black base coat, and then I took a very bright blue and did a zenith. And I'm going to use the same glazing and wash techniques that we typically do in our paint streams, except for with that undertone built in. So instead of me yammering, let's show the stammering way to paint a miniature. That didn't make sense, but I like it. I'm going to just grab two brushes here. That one and this one. It's like a size 4, size 5. Why not? And I made up a black wash. And the idea here is we're going to use this black wash over top of this zenithal blue to create some tonality to our black. So it's not just black. There's going to be a little bit of blue in there. And that just makes it look more natural and more interesting. I like to call these chromatic blacks. Blacks with some color. Just adds a little more life. So we're really just doing a sweet wash. Taking our time over each element of the miniature for a nice even coverage. We're trying to get it done, but we're not trying to rush, right? So how's chat this morning? When's Ahsoka? Great question. I love that question. Where Ahsoka? Who Ahsoka? I'm more worried about these Dark Troopers. I have a clone army, the Lucky 13s, and I have been steadily more and more interested in a Imperial force. And with the reveal of Dark Troopers and Moff Gideon, I'm way more focused on that concept of getting a Imperial force painted. So I think these and some AT-ATs, or not AT-ATs, ATSTs. All-terrain scout transport. Think I might be building myself a nice little fledgling Imperial force. Although I do kind of regret not painting my ATSTs in black armor now, because some black armor ATSTs to match the Moff Gideon Dark Trooper feel, I think would be really, really cool. So maybe I'll end up painting 4 ATSTs. Because I can't have something not themed. I'd rather have 4 of them and 2 painted for my Moff Gideon squad and 2 painted for like a more traditional, than use traditional color schemes in my Moff Gideon army. Because that's the fun of it. It's telling that story, right? That story we always talk about. Kevin agrees with me. Kevin's an army painter. You have to paint that command vehicle the right color for your commander. Can't just be standard troop colors. Come on now. What kind of hobbyist would I be? Welcome to the dark side. Thank you. What wash is this? It's just some black paint with a dot of blue and some art medium. I'm pulling blue tack out of the bottom of my primer lid there, so my gimbal works. Anything can be a wash because a wash is not a thing. Wash is a technique. So just some acrylic medium, black paint, touch of blue. There's lots of different ways to add chromatic tones to your black. Very classic blacks are, if you look at them in media, they're kind of toned blue or neutral. So you get grays, whites, or blues. But you could do green black. You could do a warm black, like a red or umber, like burnt umber or sienna, added to black to get a different type of chromatic feel to it. So it all depends on what you're trying to convey with your painting. For these, I want that stark, sharp, militaristic look to these dark troopers. I want them to feel very menacing and terrifying as you look across the battlefield, right? Half of my strategy is intimidation, right? Look at these robots, sir. By God, we can't defeat those. What hope do we have against soulless machines? All we have is hope. All we have is hope, sir. What we got here? That miniature is more than a head over average trooper model. Yeah, these boys are pretty big. Do we have a standard trooper? Can you pass me that Dinjarin?
Okay.
Thank you. We're gonna put Schick painted up a Dinjarin yesterday. I'm gonna here in a second. I got wet wash, and there's nothing worse than wet wash drying up. So give me a second, and I'll put Dinjarin up there if you want. Schick's painted Dinjarin. What this black is also going to do in the blue underneath. Little color theory. Blue and red love being together. They look so good. Nice contrasty colors. I want red glow. So by putting a tone of blue into my black and then painting my red glow, I'm going to bring in some really nice pop to that red. The blue in the black will bring out and make that red brighter, sharper, and more poppy. Very, very classic color theory concept there. It's kind of like why movie posters are always like, orange and teal, or blue and red. It's just sharp, poppy. It draws your attention when you walk into that theater. Pull that out, make that a nice even coat. And these big, broad shoulder pads, right? You want that shoulder pad to be nice and smooth. These are a lot of fun to work on. We'll get to some of the weapon options here in a moment. You can take a look at even some atomic mass sort of inspired. Okay, we're going to put Dinjarin up. Look at this guy with his rat-a-tat. The dark troopers. Yeah, they are on a standard trooper base, And there's a Dinjarin. Like, these boys are pretty big. What is the Dark Trooper minigun called? I don't have that in my head. That is knowledge I don't have in my head. Maybe somebody's watching that knows. I love this minigun though. And for anybody out there checking, I drilled out my gun barrels. Look at that, Kevin. He's so proud of me right now. You drill out your gun barrels. All 6 of them. I got a little tiny drill bit and just did a quick mark to make sure I put them in the right spot. Drilled those suckers out to make it look cooler. Just that little extra time, just to me, is just a natural part of hobby, but also just brings that extra layer of care and attention to my lovingly painted miniature. See that little bit of blue in there? We're going to pop all that out. Can I paint a squad in an hour? I'm getting a skeptical look across the table now. I don't think I can paint a squad in an hour. I can get pretty close, I think. I need to go faster on my wash. But I also need to read chat. They're probably asking me interesting questions. They do not like lightsabers. The Mertilizer is the cricket bat. I can't remember which minigun this is. Let's put a wash on it. And here. Now, when you have multiple different elements that are all black, like these Dark Troopers, so the blasters are black, and the armor is black, and you want those to pop, what I like to do is, even though the minigun here has a blue undercoat, when I go to highlight, I'm going to highlight the armor with blues. And I'm going to keep them very sharp, very poppy. But when I go to do the minigun and their other blasters, I'll use grays. And what that's going to do is create that contrast between the materials to make it look like they are definitely different materials, and to let that minigun kind of breathe and live away from the bot itself. It'll still read black. It's just going to make sure that I'm treating the elements properly and creating that nice contrast that we talk about all the time in those said elements. So even though the undercoat is the same, once we lay that highlight on, it will read different and make that minigun stand out and be more unique. What do we got here? Oh, see, Jimmy the Hand is rooting for me. I know a couple really fast painters, but I can be pretty swift. Like the wind, Kevin. Like a bantha. Wait, I don't think banthas are swift, are they? Look at their smooth little noggins. Why does my blue cat tech keep sticking up in there? Should we do the leader or the Mertilizer next? Oh, standard trooper. I gotta go faster. Gotta get to the highlighting. So I think we're gonna throw the base card on everybody, then we're gonna highlight and focus on one dark trooper for the rest of the time we have. Yeah, I do know these cats don't like lightsabers. They're pretty slow, but that's kind of like their jam, right? Is that they're not super dodgy. They're just big and like impressive robots, crushing forward toward their foes, and just a wave of iron and steel. I don't have their cards yet. I need cards. I think when we do the pouches, we'll do the pouches with gray highlights as well to distinguish the pouches as a different material as well from the armor. And just kind of carry that, make sure we carry that throughout, making the armor plates very sharp blue highlights, other elements more gray to make sure that they stand out and read as individual pockets of material. I got a little aggressive down there on that back shin. It's fine, right? Maybe I should have used the bigger brush. I'm so focused on speed, I can't read the chat. What do I got? What paint is this? Sparrow asks. It's I undercoated the Dark Troopers in black, and then I found a light blue and did a zenithal prime to create the blue across the armor to kind of show light reflection. And then I just mixed up a nice black with a dot of, I used Holzer blue because it's got like a bit of turquoise in there. Mixed in and some artist medium. So it's like a wash medium that you can just pick up at any art store. And just made a wash. Washes are techniques, not things. So you can make a wash out of any paint, whatever you find appropriate, whatever you think looks the best. Like I like to say, I'm here to teach you how to paint, not what to paint. Let's build our confidence and go on an exploration together and learn how to paint. Paint bravely. Paint with jazz. So a wash is just any paint that's designed to flow into a crevice, creating shadow and contrast. So anything can be diluted with art medium or water. Here's the leader miniature. Art medium or water that kind of goes over top and flows down into crevices. This is pretty thick because I want it to kind of be sticky on the surface as well to create that contrast, but also to start toning that armor to the black. But as it recedes from the raised areas and edges, it's going to leave that little bit of blue shining through. It's going to give me a chromatic black. It's going to add a lot of life and personality to that black, so it's not just black. Secret of painting black is, I always say 70 to 80%. Other people will tell you a different percentage, of course, sometimes. I lean more to the 80 side of the entire surface of an element. So like that shoulder pad, 80% of it should be black. Like as black as you can make it black. And then the other 20% and up, that's where you add your highlights and colors. And that's what makes it black. But you need color in there. If you just slap matte black, it's just going to read a little lifeless and unfinished. Honestly, that's just a prime job. So throwing a little bit of color in there, and you can be brave. As I was saying earlier, you don't have to use blue or grays to create black. You can throw red in there and make a nice warm black. Umber, which is like a dark brown, like a reddish brown. Throw that in there to create like a very warm black. And kind of do your spin and take on it. Like that's, the fun in miniature games, right? It's like you get to explore and create your Star Wars experience. So I don't know, maybe these would be silver, Maybe you want to do silver dark troopers. Maybe they're dark silver, so they live up to their name. I like the black. I want to go for that super Moff Gideon landing on a planet, taking control of the province and using his dark troopers to kind of enforce his will, or even deeper, the Emperor's will upon said planet. So the black and red glow is definitely where I'm going with these. I could totally see silver, or like a black green. So you put like a really warm or really rich forest green into your black. Could make a really interesting color and style to some dark troopers. If you put orange in there, you want to go, or green in there, you want your glow to be a little more orange. If you look at a color wheel, you'll understand why. They're your compliments. See, I'm talking about color theory, and then I'm always the first person to be like, you can break the rules of color theory. They don't really matter. But you gotta learn the rules to break the rules. Those guys directing his squad. Hostile sighted. Converge on sector 4th C. Sir, it's nothing but a womp rat. Detain the womp rat. Smooth that out. Last one, then we can start highlighting. Boy, oh boy, so much painting. Wait, has it been an hour? Did we start early? What time is it? Oh, I didn't realize we were on the halves. Did the other one go over? Am I in the right stream? Sleek limousine. Graves would call back to the Dark Forces origins of Robo Dark Troopers. That's true. Purple black? Oh, I would love a purple black on these. Like a real rich purple. And then you can make like a magenta glow because the magenta and purple would play really well together. Of course, yellow is a good complementary color to purple. So I see in so much heraldry, purples and golds. Very regal. Maybe you do an imperial force that's like I don't want to say reformed, but like, you know, after rebellion, reprogrammed dark troopers, so they're like in tans and maybe yellow glow. Be kind of cool. Sort of like a what if fall after the fall of the empire kind of thing. You know, like Jedis are peacekeepers now. So they walk around with yellow glowy stick bats. God, I wish Josh was here for that. He would take offense. Look, I can't help it. It was Mace Windu who's talking about the Jedi being peacekeepers. So close. Yes, I love this cricket bat type weapon. So lovingly called the Myrtleizer here. Make sure I get that black all over. I think I could do these in 2 hours. That's the stream show we need. It's kind of like the name that tune of miniature painting. It's like you put up a miniature, and then each contestant bids on how fast they can paint it, and then you the person with the lowest bids has to paint it in that amount of time, and if they fail, they're kicked off the show. That'd be great. I can paint that many in 8 brush strokes. That's pretty bold. That's Oh, and you could even do like standard like levels. So like, you know, this okay, so this is like I can do that like you do Dark Trooper, right? It's like, okay, this round it's tabletop. Okay, I can paint that miniature in 30 minutes. I can paint that miniature in 28 minutes. But then also you could do levels that are like, you up it, right? It's like, okay, so this is studio level or display level. I can paint that miniature in 4 hours. I would watch this actually. It's like 8 contestants on an island or something. They have to paint miniatures to get off the island and win cash and prizes. Okay, so you can see where that, you can see, let's go ahead and switch over to the first one that I worked on, because he should be dry. They have a mechanical samurai vibe to them. Yeah, that's why I really like their helmets. They have that samurai vibe that I find very appealing. So that's a very, very cool catch there. Any advice on how to do the eyes of bright glowing red? Exile Parade. Hopefully we get to the bright glowy red. Actually, you know what? We can just start building that process in right now. So you can see how the wash is peeled away, showing just a little bit of blue through it. So we want to start painting eyes. What I like to do is start with an off-white. So this is a very yellow white. There's many different versions of off-white. There's like a yellow white, blue whites. If you actually, can you show the mini cam real quick, or the palette cam, Kevin? So like that's a very, very light blue, but if you put a little bit, I mean, just see that little bit of touch of blue to the white, that's more of a white blue. This is an off-white that's a yellow. See how there's that yellow tint to it. You could do an orange. That's too much orange. Let's do this. Just a little tiny touch. See that little tiny touch? That would be an orange white. So it's still white. It just has that little kiss of color in there. I like using, for red glow, I like using this yellow white. It's very off. So I'm going to paint that where I want red glowy bits. So I want those 3 buttons. I like buttons being lit. I like having those little pops of color. And this is just that foundational start to red glow. Now, the cool thing about these, they have very deep triangular eyes. So it's very easy to just throw and fill that ocular hole with red or white. And then clean up any excess, because you're just going to punch a bunch of red paint down in there. Several steps later. Oh, somebody's crashing my party. Like, and I went a little bit maybe down on the cheekbones there, because that's going to show a little bit more color. Oh, here's your din jarn. I used even scale to show how big these things are. They're ginormous. So we're just shoving some off-white paint in there. It doesn't matter if it's messy right now. It'll all get cleaned up, right? Every miniature painter, every professional miniature painter will talk about the ugly phase. It's that phase in the miniature paint job that's just like, it's kind of a mess and you haven't tied everything together yet. Couple more red dots. And I block paint on there. I think I'd like some blue glow on these blasters. So maybe pick some insets. We're just going to make it up. Maybe this inset has like some sort of exposed gas chamber. Maybe this inset does as well. So we can put a punchy blue glow. It'll just have a nice, it'll just add a nice bit of visual interest to, pretty plain miniature, right? It's just black. You just need some visual pops. I'm reading the chat. I'm reading the chat. For me, it's usually the pre-shade. What are we talking about there? The pre-shade? I'm interested. I like talking about this stuff. So let's go to Hold Your Blue. A little dot of that on the palette. And some of that very, very light blue. Blue is a bully color, which means it will bully all other colors. So when you go to mix it, blue is very powerful. So I'm just going to do some edge highlights. I want to keep these very sharp. The smaller and brighter the highlight, the sharper the material will read that you painted. Not like that. That was a mistake. We'll fix it later. So I'm just going to go over the whole miniature. I'm just going to pick out, you don't have to be perfect. Actually, I kind of like it a little scratchy. Maybe just put like a little ding there. Maybe like a little ding there. We're just going to work our way through the miniature. Rotate the miniature, use the side of the brush. Nose. His schnozzle. It's the technical term on a robot. Maybe this could be a little bit darker. If you went a little darker and it went more steps, you get better blends. I'm going for speed. So I'm just trying to get it done. So I'm going for a brighter, zazzier pop. Very zesty. Edge of the brush right along the top of those elements. I don't like doing the bottom panels. It's not where light catches. You can do bounce lights, that's different. We're not talking about bounce lights today. And they're usually a different color. Oh, the ugly face is usually before I put shade all over my face. Depends on the shade. But yeah, usually a shade or a wash ties everything together, kind of erasing that ugly step. What else we got here? I saw Dallas. What can you use color shaper brushes for in main paint? Color shaper brushes. Color shaper brush. What's a color shaper brush? I don't know if I've heard that term, but we might be thinking of something that's the same. Kevin, anything? What's a color shaper brush? Ding, ding. Second brush to clean up our mess. Like maybe I've heard it called a different name, but immediately I'm not quite sure what we're speaking of. Oh, rubber tip brushes. I've never used them in miniature painter, but I sure use them in sculpting. When you're traditionally sculpting with putty on a miniature, I use rubber tip brushes all the time. I've heard them called clay shapers and stuff like that. So sculpting wise, very useful. I use them a lot there. Okay, we're getting a little more free form. I'm feeling confident and saucy. It was early in the morning. I wasn't quite ready to paint today. 16 more minutes. I totally can finish this one guy. As I go down the miniature, I'm going to do less highlighting. Especially on that back leg. That back leg is in shadow. Oh, 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 oh. No, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. It's so dry in here. We can fix that later. We'll put a little black and pop those toes. This bot's all about his mani-pedis. I think we need a little highlight right there on the side. Any more interesting questions I should be reading? Like I said, this side of the foot, this foot was going to catch more light, and then this back calf, you can see where that zenithal prime kind of shown. Where everything, that's that blue shining through. There's no wrong way to do this. Just get in there and just have fun. Just sticking to top edges, not bottom edges. Not a big fan of the highlights on the underside. Then I could go pure white. Grab a little dot of pure white, just like a titanium white. If you've gone to your art store to pick up your rubber tip brushes, you know where the titanium white is at. I just want those final pops of just the purest white up on some of the highest marked areas of the torso. Shoulders, head. Maybe right there on that arm to draw attention. This is just where light's going to catch the brightest. It's up high. It's not under his body. And you can make these more scratchy even. Black wash over brown base for a good black letter. Like, oh yeah, black wash over brown base, great. I actually like put some, like we're talking about the chromatic, put a little color in there, put a little brown, maybe a brown ink. I'm a big fan of inks. I feel like that's kind of the inks are kind of an unsung hero in miniature painting. So put a little brown ink in your black wash and do that over your leather browns. Gives it a richer, more depth, and warms up the leather. Looks super, super, super good. So like if we went a little bit darker on these scritches, because you don't want super bright, you could really get in here and add that like texture and zazz. Just a little more. See, I'm keeping those very, very sharp. It makes them feel more shiny. Okay, red. I'm going to go yellow first. Or, you know what? We'll do orange first. It's a little orange. I like building my colors up. It's never fun to paint red directly over black. Certain colors have, like, just naturally, the pigment value is much lower. Everybody talks about yellow. That's just the nature of the yellow pigment and what we're capable of making yellow pigments out of as humans. Um, Yellows just have a low concentration of pigments. Oh, see, those little red dots are gonna scream. Mix up another color here using hold your blue, white, and some of that light blue. We're going to paint that into these areas that we deemed are going to be glowing on the blasters. Once again, I'm going to be using inks to pop that out. Okay, let's do gray. So black and white, we're just going to make whatever gray we want. It's going to make an appropriate gray. Let's add a little bit of yellow. Just a touch of that yellow white. With the stray bristle there, how much I panic about what's on my own brush? I mean, that's up to you. It's your confidence level. I don't panic. I painted studio and competition level miniatures with just the worst brushes because I'm a monster. So it's all about your confidence level. It's all about your brush control. We're all on different points of the same path. So, you know, you just practice and learn what you can get away with. I know I can get away with a pretty beat up brush. It's funny, Brendan does a lot of our studio paint jobs, and him and I talk once a week, and we just complain about how we're just the worst monsters with brushes. I don't do brush care at all. I know. I'm just the worst. Like I just finished painting, I give them a rinse, I just throw them on a paper towel sometimes. Like, and the brushes will be bent, and I'll pick them up and just use them the next. Oh God, I'm a monster. The worst part, I think I was worse with brush care when I was a freelancer, when I had like literally no brush budget. Just the worst. But yeah, your confidence level, whatever you feel. If you don't like the stray hair, get a new brush. If it gets in your way, I just work around it and I move my brush to fit the way I angle it. That's probably not the answer you wanted, and I apologize. Is that yellow? See that yellow on there? Ooh, it looks so good. We're going to kick that up. Add more white, add more white. Draw it out, sharpen the brush. Little dings. A little bit more highlighting on that blaster. Just the corners and like wherever you want to create visual interest, it's up to you. It makes my heart hurt a little bit, not gonna lie. Oh man, I never throw away a brush too. I at home in my so I just recently moved, and I was unpacking brushes. Kevin, this is so bad. I have brushes that are probably 30 plus years old that I've been carrying around in old mason jars, And like when I pack them, they're just like, they're just stuck in the top of a mason jar. And I just shove that mason jar in a box and then things get packed on top of it. And like, I find uses for those brushes. I'm like, oh, I need to put glue on this base. Oh, it'd be nice to like use a brush to apply the super glue because of the technique I'm doing, right? And so I dig out those old, really, really mangled, just awful brushes. Dry brushes, I will beat the heck out of a dry brush and use it until it's dead. 5 minutes. We're going to finish one Dark Trooper. I feel really good about that. So I'm back to red. I'm going to leave a little tiny bit of that yellow showing. You can do top or bottom. I like the top. Whoop. To the other side. He's got a big red button on his back. That way you know where to shoot him. It's like Boba Fett. If you bump him there, he goes shooting off. Let's do some red in those eyes. I'm going to cram some paint up there. Use that second brush. A little bit damp. Draw it out. A little tiny bit of glow. The helmet designs of these makes those eyes very interesting. They're very deep set. That's just the design of the helmet. Not something we really had control over. So you just gotta cram some paint back there, give them that look. I like after that going back to my yellow orange and maybe reapplying a dot on the bottom. Just let the brush kiss it. Kind of shows like a little reflective, like a little shiny nature. Of the red. Dead center. A little bit off there, it's fine. No one's going to notice. Add some white to that and then go back on the top side. Just bing in a super bright dot. Just let that brush work. Your brush wants to do the work. It really does. It's trying hard. And where I got paint between the buttons, slide a little bit of black around there and make them pop. Brings it together. Clean and condition your brushes after every session. You can. Absolutely. Get some good brush soap. Clean them up after every session. Over cleaning is a thing too. I think most people don't talk about it. Over cleaning your brushes is a problem. There's natural oils in a good sable. I use good sable brushes. There's natural oils in there, and if you over condition and over clean them, you're going to pull that oil out. You're going to reduce the flex and bounce of the brush, which is a vital attribute of the brush. So you can over condition it, just like you can over condition your own hair, which I obviously don't have a problem with, but I could. So you don't want to over clean them either. That can lead to other issues. The big thing is the only brush care that matters to me, this is me, is paint in the ferrule. That's it. Don't get paint in the ferrule. I have a brush to pull paint out of pots. It's a special brush. I call it my grabby brush. It is only there to pull paint out of pots. It has a blue tape around it, so I know which one it is. I have 1 minute to paint an eye and to tell you about grabby brushes, but that's the only thing I care about. So paint pots, I just grab paint with a special brush that's already ruined. It's already served its purpose in its life. It doesn't need to do anything else for me. But other than that, I'm sort of a monster. We only have 1 minute. I'm going to punch this blue glow just a little bit. A little bit more Holzer blue. Turn into a wash. Just to give it a little shape. A little more punch. We could use ink, but I think this will work just fine. And then come back in with bright white. A little touch of blue. And, oh, too much water on the brush. Color's going to cut me off. I'm trying really, really hard. And bink. Nope. There we go. That's better. We'll do 2. And a low one. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining our Dark Trooper painting stream where I talked about my inability to clean a brush. Join us in a few moments for the Outer Rim Showdown Star Wars Legion gameplay, kicking off in just 5 minutes over in the other studio. So we'll see you later and have a good one.